The United States did not appreciate Germany's disregard of submarine regulations. And on April 19, 1916, President Woodrow Wilson publicly warned Germany not to continue unrestricted submarine warfare policies. How do you think the war might have changed if Germany had agreed to Wilson's demands on unrestricted submarine warfare? Most say that it would have been vastly, vastly different. So the United States is not, at this point, involved in the war. But there is fighting occurring. The longest battle of the war was fought at Verdun. It lasted approximately 10 months, fought between February 21st and December 18th. This was a surprise German attack on the French, resulting in 1 million casualties. Now, if you figure that out in 10 months, that's roughly 100,000 casualties per month, which is 3,333 casualties per day, and it figures to 2.3 casualties per minute. But this was by far not the worst fighting, and keep in mind, again, the United States is not involved yet. The Battle of Somme, another major battle, also resulted in 1 million casualties, but it lasted for only 4 months. It was a British attack on Germany taking place between July 1st and November 13th. It was during this battle that the British first introduced the tank, but the battle offered no real breakthrough for the Allies. The operation was originally intended to be a joint effort between France and Britain, but the Battle of Verdun greatly reduced French involvement. Now, this total battle was 136 days in length. If you divide 1 million casualties by 136 days, it's roughly 7,353 casualties per day, or 5 casualties per minute. Even though the United States is not directly involved in the war, there's a turning point coming up. Germany tried to get Mexico involved in war, and the United States had finally had enough. The Zimmermann Note, which is in yellow, I know it might be very difficult to read, but this is a key turning point in the war and something that you all should know. It will be on a test. The Zimmermann Note was a telegram sent by the German Foreign Minister, Zimmermann, to Mexican officials to declare war against the United States. The purpose of this is Germany knew that the United States, if the United States got involved on the war, they would go on the side of Britain and Germany would lose. So Germany wanted to get Mexico to somewhat entertain the United States, keep us occupied, while Germany took over all of Europe. And then once that was finished, Germany would come over and help Mexico finish the war. Mexico beating the United States. Now, thankfully, this telegram was intercepted by British intelligence on January 19th, 1917. If you read the telegram, you will see that Germany is offering to give Mexico, New Mexico, Texas, and Arizona as a reward. Lost territories. You can see it right there. Lost territory in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Now, the fact that Mexico lies right next to the U.S. created quite a stir in this country, as you might have guessed. But more than anything, it caused extreme anti-German feelings, because this is not Mexico coming up with this idea. This is Germany. This is a push by Germany. The sinking of the Lusitania, unrestricted submarine warfare, And now the Zimmerman Note had finally caused the United States to declare war. Initially, Woodrow Wilson was the president. Americans could not relate to what they saw as a family feud in Europe. They're fighting amongst themselves. The United States had done everything possible to stay out of war. Remember those words of George Washington, his farewell address. We needed to mind our own business. We could not interfere in any sort of situation in Europe. Well, when Germany declared war, Woodrow Wilson was American president, and his 1916 campaign slogan was, "He kept us out of war." He wins re-election in 1916 on that isolationist platform. We are not getting involved. And for a long time, Americans did declare neutrality. We're not getting involved with Europe's problem. So the United States held out as long as it possibly could before going to war. The sinking of the Lusitania by German submarines, attacks on German trading vessels, and the Zimmerman Note were the three main reasons that the U.S. officially entered the war, siding with the Allies. Wilson stated that he would hold Germany responsible for the loss of any American lives or property, and that he would take action to protect the rights of American citizens. Wilson was ready to take sides in the war. He went from an isolation and neutrality policy to total involvement. Wilson asked Congress for a declaration of war on April 6, 1917. Once President Wilson realized that the majority of the public would support siding with the Triple Entente and entering the war, he declared that this would be the war to end all wars. He also told the American people and the European allies that the world must be made safe for democracy. Now, Wilson's next task was to increase the number of military recruits by millions, not a few, but by millions. So, on May 18, 1917, the United States passed the Selective Service Act. Selective Service Act, very important, still impacts us today. Gentlemen, you have to sign up with selective service at the age of 18. There is no way around it. This is better known as the draft. The United States, using the Selective Service Act, was given the power to draft men for the armed services. All men between the ages of 21 and 30 had to sign up for military service. Again, this has been changed to the age of 18. It's just automatic. Nearly 3 million American men were drafted. These are just a few posters that were used to encourage men to sign up. Destroy this brute. If you notice in this black and white photo, the Hun, the cap, basically, of the German army. It's very difficult to see, but this is actually Lady Liberty that he is stealing away from New American shores. So it's only a matter of time before they come this way. All used to encourage men to join up to the military. Now, with the draft in place, it was time to get supplies, money, and legislation geared up. Numerous acts and new agencies were created by the federal government to prepare and sustain Americans both on the home front and overseas. Among these were the War Industries Board, and we're going to talk about these individually on the next few pages. The War Industries Board, Liberty Loans, the Espionage Act, and the Sedition Act were all created to help the war effort. To increase supplies meant having the War Industries Board regulate materials, such as iron and steel that could be used for war equipment. Big business supported government regulations. Jobs and union memberships increased, and women were offered jobs formerly reserved for men. The government led the way in creating and organizing many war-related programs to help ensure victory for the United States and its allies.